The Empire of Ghana formed in 380 when different tribes of the Soninke people were united under the first king. The Soninke people used the word Ghana, meaning a warrior king, to refer to the king, and the empire's enemies and allies subsequently began to refer to the region as Ghana. The empire was actually located northwest of present-day Ghana and was now Mauritania, Senegal, and Mali, but was gradually driven towards the coast by attacks from tribal groups in northern Africa who wanted the empire to convert to Islam. From 1100 AD, the empire weakened until it was eventually incorporated into the Mali Empire. In 1471, Portuguese traders landed in modern-day Ghana and noticed that many of the people who lived there were wearing gold jewelry. This ushered in a new era of trade in gold, ivory, and timber between Ghana, the Portuguese, Dutch, British, and various neighboring Akan states, leading to Ghana becoming rich and powerful. They named the region the Gold Coast due to the abundance of the precious metal. Today, you can still see some of the many forts and castles which the Europeans constructed along the Ghanaian coast to protect their trade interests. In the 1500s, the focus shifted to trading in slaves, and slavery overtook gold as the main export. With the arrival of Dutch, English, Danish, and Swedish settlers during the 1600s, the slave trade became highly organized. Forts, such as Cape Coast Castle, were used to hold slaves awaiting transport to the Americas, and millions of West Africans were captured and forcibly transported across the oceans. The historical Ashanti Empire, or Asante, dominated much of present-day Ghana and the wider Gold Coast from the late 17th through the 19th centuries. Their ethnic capital being Kumasi, they were under increased pressure from European powers for most of their history. In the early 1800s, the British began applying pressure to try and curb the brutal slave trade. In 1807, the Slave Trade Act was signed, which prohibited British subjects from trading in slaves right across the British Empire. The act did not abolish the practice of slavery, but did encourage the British to pressure other nations to abolish their own slave trades. Slavery itself did not become illegal in Ghana until 1874, when the country was officially proclaimed a British Crown colony and renamed the Gold Coast, referencing the original Portuguese name and the reason behind it. The Ghanaian economy continued to grow through exports of gold, cocoa, and coffee. Great Britain defeated the Ashanti Empire in the late 19th century and officially claimed the Gold Coast as an official crown colony in 1874, ending the Ashanti resistance and independence. Returning in 1947, political leader Kwame Nkrumah spearheaded a non-violent push for freedom. In 1957, the Gold Coast became the first sub-Saharan colony to become an independent nation under President Kwame Nkrumah, who had left the fight for independence. Nkrumah was a Pan-African nationalist who saw Ghana's independence as crucial for the entire continent of Africa. As the Gold Coast officially gained independence, Nkrumah declared, "Our independence is meaningless until it is linked up with the total liberation of the African continent." Encouraged by Ghana's example, more than 30 African countries followed suit and declared independence over the next decade. Something very interesting was in the early 1960s, Nkrumah spearheaded the construction of the Okosombo Dam to generate massive amounts of hydroelectricity. To power the dam and supply the nation's energy needs, the government intentionally flooded the Volta River basin. This resulted in Lake Volta, which is one of the largest artificial reservoirs in the world by surface area, being 8,502 square kilometers, which is about 3.6% of Ghana's total land mass, making Ghana an electrified country, albeit with many negative trade-offs. Following independence, the country was renamed Ghana, as it was believed that many of the new nation's inhabitants were descended from the Soninke people, who lived in the ancient empire of Ghana. Ghana's flag incorporates the Pan-African colors of red, yellow, green, and black to represent political unity between all those who live in Africa, and features the black star as a symbol of Ghana's new freedom. After independence, Ghana's government were plagued by corruption, coups, and military rule. For many years, Ghana was effectively a one-party state until 1981, when Ghana's new leader, Jerry Rawlings, vowed to put an end to this once and for all after Nkrumah was ousted in a 1966 coup. In 1992, a new constitution was adopted, which allowed for the formation of multiple political parties and the democratic system of government. Today, Ghana has a new president, and the country is now seen as a shining example of economic recovery and political reform. In fact, Ghana was recently ranked the second most peaceful country in Africa after Mauritius. That is it for the history of Ghana. Now onto the 5 fun facts. So as I already stated, the first fact is Lake Volta is the biggest man-made lake, and it covers nearly 4% of Ghana's entire landmass, which is insane. The second fun fact is that Ghana is the second largest cocoa producer in the world. However, finding chocolate inside Ghana is nearly impossible since most of the cocoa is exported. The third fact is that the prime meridian passes through the port city of Tema, making it geographically one of the closest places in the world to the direct center of the Earth. Of, like, the outer Earth, at least, where the landmass is. The fourth fact is that in 1957, Ghana became the first sub-Saharan country, and as such, the first black African country to gain independence from colonial rule. And the fifth fact is that the infamous Ghana Empire did not even encompass any landmass inside present-day Ghana, but was instead near, like, Mali. And short video, short history. That is it for the simplified history of Ghana.